Hi everybody, I am Husky Light. Thank you for stopping by. What we're going to talk about today, fourth dimensional spiders and snakes. How's that for a good start to a video? Basically going to talk about this because I can see them as my spiritual development goes on and my awakening. There are certain times when I can see them and I can see what's in the fourth dimension. And I've come to some realizations as well. Now this sort of leads on from the angel cards we did. Was it last week? And we had to work on our chakra, and I thought, oh, hang on a minute. If we're working on our chakra, if anyone just happens to blast it open, you know, as you go through things, you start to see things that you don't normally see. Now, up in the fourth dimension, this is the astral plane. Above, we're in the third dimension, then there's the astral plane, which is the fourth, and there's a higher fourth and a lower fourth density as well, which I'll probably get into in another video. And then we go on to the fifth, sixth, and upwards. Now, as far as I know, I'm usually up in the sixth dimension, residing with some guides, and my guides, some ET guides, angels, but there is, you can either go up or down with this, and if you go through a stage where you are feeling down, or you're feeling not well, or you're feeling ill, if you're in the third, you're in the third, but if you're higher than that, you can drop down back into the fourth a little bit and start to see these little critters that run around. I've seen them about 3 times now in the past 2.5, 3 years. So not particularly very often, but obviously when you do see them, it's enough to make you sit up and do a double take on them. And this is simply because of spiritual development, opening up your third eye, opening up your crown chakra, and being able to see beyond the veil, seeing through that, seeing the things that normally you can't see at all. It's absolutely impossible for you to see. So I'll start at the beginning with me, and then I'll go through some of the facts that I found out and done. The thing is, I had my own interpretation of them, or I have my own interpretation of what they are and what they're doing, and then I made the mistake of saying to myself, oh, I'll go and do a little bit of research. As soon as you start to research, it just like loads of stuff comes up for you, and then it's a case of using your discernment and only taking on board or integrating what is relevant to you, or what you feel comfortable with, what you believe is actually true. So the first time I saw one, and I think it's in a video somewhere way back when I first started on YouTube, I was talking to a friend on Skype. I was very tired. It was the early hours of the morning. I was very much going through Night of the Dark Soul. I was crying every 2 minutes. I felt down. And I looked into the corner of the room where my dog's basket was, where Jeannie, one of my huskies' baskets was, and I saw this big black shape, and it was about this big. It sort of stood up on its legs as I watched it, and then shuffled round in a 360-degree circle, and then bumped back down again, settled back down again, as if it was just sitting quite happily in my dog's basket. And it didn't even bother me the first time I saw it. Now this is the thing, it's when you open your third eye or your crown chakra or whatever, you've got to be prepared and ready to see things that you don't normally see, because if you're not, there's a good chance they're going to scare the living daylights out of you. So anyway, it did this 360-degree turn, plopped itself back down again, and that was that. I experienced it again last year. I'd only just got puppy. I was going through this spiritual pregnancy, which was confusing, lonely, upsetting, and I was feeling down. And I'd gone to sleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night. Puppy wanted to get up on the bed. She'd jumped down during the night, and she was still too little to be able to jump back up on her own. So I sort of leaned over the bed to grab her and pick her up, and there was this very, very dark, rounded shadow in front of her. And I sort of looked at it for a moment, and I thought that was Puppy's shadow. And then I realised it wasn't Puppy's shadow, because how can there be shadows in a room that is completely dark to start with? These fourth dimensional creatures sort of absorb any possible light that's in the room, and it makes them look blacker than a shadow, darker than a shadow, very, very dark. So I looked at it and thought, well, that's not Puppy's shadow. And as I looked at it, it just sort of shuffled under my bed. So I automatically sent it love and blessings and asked it to take care and be on your way. And then the third time I saw it was only probably about a month ago. You all know I had this really bad cold, and I've still got the throat going on. I've had it for like 5 weeks now. And I'm absolutely fine, but I will still lose my voice. If I speak for too long, you can hear it going now. And I basically looked over in my room and I saw it go across the wall. And again, as soon as I saw it, I only saw it for a few seconds, and then it just disappeared, dispersed, and that was the end of it. And again, I just sent it love and blessings. I went, oh, there's one of them spider things. So obviously I wanted to look into it a little bit more, started to make a correlation of, hang on a minute, when I see these things, there's something wrong. I'm either very, very down, I'm not feeling well. I think I've probably got a blockage somewhere within me that needs to be cleared. And I thought I'd do a little bit of research. So they only come to you if you're feeling down, which is why it's so important to keep your vibration up. These creatures, now there are snakes as well, although I've not personally seen a snake, but there are snakes as well. I've just seen the spider ones. These creatures are from the astral plane. They are not deliberately menacing. They are not deliberately nasty either. They have a survival instinct within them. They are like any other spider or rat or insect in our 3D world. They have a survival instinct. They know what they need to eat to survive, but they don't do it in a malicious thinking way. It's just survival instinct. What they're doing when you feel down or you feel ill or you've got blocks, they're coming in and feeding from your aura. When you're down, or whatever the reason is, within your aura, now they can see from third dimension to fourth dimension, they can see your aura. Your aura shines like a beautiful rainbow. It's got bright colours and it's amazing, and they can see that. And they can also see if you're down, because they can see little holes within your aura. When I do a healing and clearing for somebody, I fill them with bright white light. We get rid of all the blockages that are within them, and we get rid of any entities or attachments that may be attached to the person I'm doing a healing or clearing for, and they actually leave little holes within the light within them, within the aura, which we fill in again, so that the hole again. So this is what is happening. They're attracted to your aura. They can see that maybe it's dimmed down a bit, maybe there's some holes there, and they're like, oh, food, this is it. So they will come to you and they will feed. Now, it's not a nice thought, unfortunately, but it's a very real thing. Just because you can't see them does not mean they're there. They're actually around most of the time, just as ghosts and spirits, your angels, ET friends, they're there all the time. But unless you are open to seeing them, you won't actually see them. And these little critters, they don't want to be seen either. They like to work in the dark. They don't want you to be aware of them being there. And they certainly don't want you to be aware that they may be feeding off you and sucking on your... So if you get up and you're feeling exhausted all the time, or you're feeling ill, feeling down, feeling depressed, this is a form of psychic attack, but it's coming from these little critters in the fourth dimension. But they are doing it as a survival instinct. They are not being malicious at all. Now, I have looked and researched a little bit up on the internet. There are cases where they can actually bite you, apparently. I would imagine if this has happened, it's either happened in your sleep, during meditation, in a dream, not seeing them for real, and they've bitten you in your sleep, or bitten a person in their sleep, or something like that. You'll wake up and there'll be little puncture marks in you somewhere. And I actually did do an interview with somebody called Peace last year, and she was attacked by a snake, and I think this is what she was attacked by. It was a fourth dimensional creature. So apparently they can attack, they can bite you sometimes. Also, I think if they're doing... See, I want to put it out in a positive way. From my experience, they didn't hurt me. I saw them, they went away. And luckily, I am very lucky to be able to see them, I suppose, as well. I can't see people's auras, but I can see fourth dimensional creatures if I have dropped down to that. And what I'm saying is, if you're opening your third eye, your crown chakra, you're rising through that fourth dimension to get up to the fifth dimension. But you can also drop down as well, which is why it's so important to look after yourself as much as you possibly can. Now, we all get coughs and colds. Sometimes we can't do anything about it. I refuse to go to the doctors and get antibiotics, which is probably why it's taken a lot longer to get rid of a normal cold for me than, because I didn't want to take them. I don't want to go and take Western medicine and have my body infiltrated by whatever ingredients are within those antibiotics. And most of the time we're almost immune to it anyway, because of the foods that we eat, because of milking cows, because of other animals that we eat that are pumped full of antibiotics all the time, and steroids and everything else. Which is why, as we get lighter and go through the ascension, it's more and more important for us to try and steer away from foods like that, because we're taking on their energy, it's in their bloodstream, and we take it into us. So, where am I up to? There has been, I did read a story actually, which was quite a good story, although very sad. I did read a story about a woman who had had several miscarriages, 7 or 8 of them in a row, bless her. And she got up in the middle of the night one night. She was pregnant, she had the stomach pains, she knew, or thought she knew, that she was going to lose the baby. She didn't wake up her husband. She went downstairs and sobbed her little heart out because of the pain, and she thought, that's it, I'm going to lose this baby as well, I'm going to miscarry. Obviously at that point in time her aura was very, very low, her mood was very low, she was definitely in third dimension, but she looked up at a picture of a son. She already did have a son. She looked up at a picture of her son, and there was one of these little spider things, dimensional creatures, going round and round and round the picture of her son. until she realised what this little spider creature was telling her was she was actually not going to lose the baby, and it was a boy. And consequently, she didn't lose the baby, she had a healthy boy. Now this little dimensional spider told her that it was going to be okay, but he had come to feed off her because she was feeling so low. But there was a certain amount of, there was something there for him to be, for that creature to be able to tell her, no, you're not going to lose the baby, you're going to be fine, and it's a boy. And that's exactly what happens. So I don't think that in every circumstance it is a scary thing or it's a fearful thing, but it's something to be very, very aware of, because obviously if you're aware there are fourth dimensional spiders, and especially if you see them or you see them in your dreams, you see them during meditation, they appear in your third eye, your energetic level, your human energy field, your aura is low. And you need to realise that, and you need to build yourself back up again. You need to raise that vibration. So when I saw it, I thought, I've dropped. I've dropped into the fourth. I'm probably in lower fourth, and I need to get back out again. So immediately that was a kickstart for me to start to raise my vibration up again, back to the sixth where I'd come from. So I'm sure that there are those of you out there that have seen them before. You have experienced them somehow in one way or another. So this video really is just to make you aware of them, and to know that if you are working on opening your chakras, working on your spiritual development, this is likely that you would see them at one point or another. Now I'll go through some of the things here that excuse me, has been said in certain websites. You can go and look up yourself, because there's loads and loads of information. I looked them up thinking I'm not going to find much here, and there is loads, absolutely loads of it. You are seeing something very, very real. You are not crazy when you see them. And the more enlightened you become, the more, if they're going to come around, if you're feeling low, the more you're going to see them, and the less they can deceive you as well, because you can just send them on the way. And as I say, when you do see them, they don't want to be seen. And they're probably quite surprised that you can see them, and they will scatter. Now, if there's more than one, I've only ever seen one at a time. And I'm quite glad, because they're quite large. They're at least the size of a dinner plate to me. There are things that obviously lower your vibration. Too much TV, watching too many news things, drinking alcohol, playing video games, drugs, all of that sort of thing lowers the aura and the vibration. And this is just an invitation for entities, fourth dimensional creatures, jinn, you can call them jinn as well for some of them, shadow people, all of that sort of thing. They all come from the fourth dimension, can come in and start to feed off you like a little vampire. So you know that if you see one of these, you've got a block, you're not well, or you're very down, and it's a kick up the bum to move up again as well. You're having emotional triggers, something like that. Maybe you are in a state of blaming other people for problems that you have. Maybe you are feeling things like paranoia, fear, guilt, feeling deprived of money, worries, feeling sorry for yourself. All of that sort of thing can bring you down. So it's just to become aware of it and know when you get to there, if you're feeling in that state, that's just a very, very good reason to move up as quickly as you can. Realise that that's what you're doing, and realise that you are in a vulnerable state at that point, that you can be fed on at that point. Get healing and clearing. Whenever I do a healing and clearing, it also clears me out as well. So any of those feelings, and there's a lot more root chakra feelings as well that you can go through, will bring you down. Now, some of the little little facts that I've come up with about these. So you will see me reading a little bit. Apparently, etheric spiders, as we know, as I said, exist in the fourth dimension. They're very, very hard to see with the naked eye. In fact, pretty much impossible to see with the naked eye unless you are spiritually awake and you're moving up, or you've moved down again. Sometimes you can see them in the waking state between consciousness and dreaming and wakefulness. This is where most of you will spot them. I mean, I've only seen it once between sort of being awake and being asleep when Puppy was next to the bed. The other couple of times I've just seen them straight away, really. I was wide awake as well. So they can attack you apparently and bite. They've also been known, if it's a snake, to sting you, at which point you would wake up. This usually happens during a dream. And obviously when you wake up you wouldn't be able to, they'd be gone. They'll bite and disappear. But they're basically, they're just like astral vermin in the astral plane. They are vermin. And they do like to work in secret, as I've mentioned before. So if you do manage to see them, focus your attention on them, send them love and blessings, and they just scatter. They'll just disappear. Now, they're not really disappearing. They're just going back into the fourth dimension. They're disappearing from you. They're still present in the fourth dimension where they have come from. And just know that you're not going crazy at all. If you do see them, and it's the sort of thing that you will maybe see, not everybody sees them. I'm just lucky or unlucky enough to be able to see them, but I'm glad that I can see them. Actually, I don't find them scary. I just realise that I need to work on myself or get rid of a block, and I've only seen it. It's 3 times in 3 years, so I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing pretty good with it. But I know that if I've dropped, that's what's going on. Another thing, actually, do I need to do another video on that? I also noticed that my medium skills enhanced a lot around the time that I saw them as well, which also means that I dropped back down into the fourth. Now, when I'm doing a reading for somebody, I can tap into my guides and angels up in the 6th, 7th, whatever dimension they're in. If somebody is wanting to get in touch with a loved one or what, I can tap down into the fourth as well, because that's where they will come from. But I did notice that while I was down, I had a lot more sort of medium psychic occurrences than when I'm higher. I had my flickering lights, I had my slider experiences going on as well at the same time. Computer completely breaking down and going. I was on Skype with somebody a couple of nights ago and the whole thing just shut down on me, and then my lights started flickering. Then the electrics in my car had a little wobble as well. I think even the street light went off for a little bit as well, but I'm not sure if that was because of the snow, because it was snowing here, so I can't put everything down to something out of this world. Sometimes it's just a power cut. But a couple of things, I know he won't mind me telling you this. I had an experience where a friend of mine said, "Oh, I think my neighbour wants a reading with you, but she's a little bit worried because maybe her husband won't come through who's passed away." And I'd read this email and it was quite late at night, and I thought, I'll answer the email in the morning when I wake up. It was the last thing that I looked at, and as I went to sleep, just before I went to sleep, I had some random guy appear in my third eye. I was like, "Oh, who are you? Hello." This guy was probably late 30s, early 40s. That's how he showed himself to me. He was had a beautiful open face. He looked very, very friendly, sparkly brown eyes. He had a dark brown suit on, tie, white shirt, brown hair. I could describe him perfectly. He gave me the number 78, but he didn't actually say anything. When I said, "Who are you?" he didn't actually say anything. I just got the number in my head. Anyway, the next morning I did email my friend back again, and I completely described the man that I'd seen. I said, "I don't know if it's a coincidence." I said, "But you were the last email I was reading before I went to bed. And then this happens." Anyway, he managed to get a picture of the neighbour's husband. And it was him, completely. The picture that was shown to me was an older picture of him. He didn't come through to me as old as he was. But it was him. So I was like, "Oh, okay then. That's pretty cool." How old was he when he died? Friend said he was about 80 years old. Anyway, a couple of days later, my friend came back again and said, I asked her directly. He was 78. So at which point I nearly fell off the bed. I was like, oh my God, how the hell did that happen? Now, what had happened was, because I was thinking about this neighbour before I went to sleep, I had automatically opened a portal or given an invitation out for her husband to come to me, and for me to be able to relay to her that he was absolutely fine and he was okay. So that's how it happened. And then actually a couple of nights later, which was very, very strange, I don't know if any of you have heard of Max Spears. He was on YouTube. He was a fantastic, amazing guy. He was trying to get the truth out about MK Ultra victims. He himself had been through several programs. He was and had become awakened and realised, and he was trying to get this truth out. He was just starting to talk about certain government things that were going on in certain governments, child trafficking and things like that, and we sort of, the truth community sort of believe he was murdered. He was taken out. He was obviously getting a little bit too close to what he was talking, and bless him, I think he was only the same age as me. And but anyway, I went to sleep and I actually dreamt of him. He came to me and said something, and I don't have a clue what he said to me. I could not for the life of me remember what he said to me. But I actually started watching his videos a couple of days ago, because I'd only seen one or two, and he gave me so much enlightenment as to certain programming and certain things I'd been through when I was younger, that I think that's what he was trying to tell me, was just go watch him. But again, I obviously was at a point on the 4th plane where I could open the door, and there was an open invitation there for him to come in. So again, you can either go up or you can come down. So I realised that when I was seeing the spider, I was also having a lot of medium experiences as well. And obviously with my readings, there was people suddenly, things popping up and coming through as well. So what else about these little things? Really, it's just good to know about them. It's good astral defence to know about them. Know that you're not crazy, that you are seeing something very, very real, and be aware of their tactics and their methods. They're going to come in when you're feeling low, or you're not feeling well, or if you've got a major blockage somewhere, one of those lower chakra feelings, that's when they're going to appear. Obviously, with the story about the woman and the spider running around her son's picture, that was a very positive message from the spider. But originally that spider had come to her because she thought she was about to lose a baby. She was very, very emotional and very, very low, and the survival instinct within this fourth dimensional creature was attracted to that emotional outburst. So, but it's good to know So it's keep yourself as healthy as you possibly can. Your chakra system needs to be working well. There needs to be no blockages. That's why it is so important once you've opened them, or once you're working through them, to try and keep up with it as much as possible. Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes if you've got kids and dogs and 3D life as well, or something happens within your life that brings you down, it's difficult, but you need to know to raise it up as soon as possible. So your chakra system needs to be working well. That's a really valid point. These astral spiders exist in the 4th dimension, but they don't exist in our 3rd dimension. This is why they are hard to see, but if you are awake, you can see through the veil. And I'm hoping that others of you out there have seen them before, and this helps you to understand what they are, where they've come from, and not to be scared of them, just to be aware. But they will suck your energy. They will take your energy if they can do. Also, avoid people around you that are a little bit like a vampire, who drain your energy, because once your energy starts to get drained, you're a bit like a battery. You're on fully charged, you go down to half charge, quarter charge, and if you start draining on an empty, that is the perfect time for these entities. And it could be a shadow person, it could be a jinn, anything else that can attach itself to you to feed off you. They're going to come in at that point. So stay away from anybody who drains you. These energy vampires. Keep your energy as high as possible. Remain healthy, mind, body and spirit, as much as you can. And that's pretty much it, really. I don't think there's anything else. You know, work on your own stuff, work on your own life, and work on your own spiritual development. Once you remove the food source from them, they will not come to you. So once you get rid of any charged emotional distortions, it's like the lights flickering and being a slider. You will find that if you're a slider, like I am, flickering lights, cocking up electrical things, setting stuff off, will only happen when you are in a highly emotional charged state. That's when it will happen. When you're just happy and going along and you're balanced, it won't happen. It's when you're in an emotionally charged state, either when you're very, very sad and emotional, or whether you're very, very angry, or it could even happen at the opposite end of the spectrum when you're very, very excited about something as well. Because I have heard of sliders in relationships, if they're with a partner or something, in, you know, doing things like that, setting stuff off as well, because their excitement is very, very high as well. So that's what entities, it's the lower entities that will feed off the lower things. So, but there are things that obviously that you can do to remove the entities, like I've said, but you have to keep working on it. It does not mean you work on it day and night every day, so that you come to a point where you are scared to death that one of these entities might jump on you at any moment in time, or you might see them. Don't live your life like that, because if you live in fear of that happening, you will bring it into reality, and that's exactly what's going to happen. You are going to be constantly healing and clearing all the time. Just know that if you're in a balanced state and it is your intention to remain balanced, they can't come near you as well. When you release emotional, bad emotions, when you release the blockages, when you heal, they disappear again. And then as long as you keep on top of that, just have a check-in with yourself every few days, or if you're ill, like I was when it appeared, just be aware. That's why it's, you know, that's why it's happening. But you have to do this. This is something that you have to do on your own. You can get help from me with healing and clearings. You can go for Reiki sessions. But it's about keeping your own aura clear It's about keeping your chakras clear, unblocked, and taking on your own spiritual counsel as well. It's part of the spiritual journey. Some of you may not see it, some of you may do, but it's part of self-realization as well, helping you to remember who you really are, that you are spirit in a human vessel, and that's the end of it. And you are down here having an experience, spark of God, experiencing things around you. You are not just a human, you are not just a human being. Obviously, you are part of this cosmic awareness, you are part of the universe, you're a light being. You're an angel. So, yeah, just stand tall, stand straight, and go for it. Release any trapped emotions that you've got. Let go of attachments to emotions, that there is no place for that emotion. Let go of past things. Forgive yourself, forgive others. You know, we do this multiple times over our lifetime. We don't just have one awakening as we go through time. We have multiple ones as well. And it's keeping up that vibrational consciousness as we go through our lives. Just being aware. So I wanted to do this video. Comment below if you've had experiences like this before. Try not to be scared of it, because as I say, the experiences I've had, I've not been scared by it, and therefore, simply because I've not been scared by them, they've just gone. I think if you were, then you're probably going into sleep paralysis. You could be experiencing, you know, jinns and all the rest of it attaching, and the more, obviously, they would feed off your fear, or they feed off you being scared of them. So the more you do that, the more they're going to come. And again, it's a survival instinct for them. That's just the way they've, just as spiders and cockroaches do in this 3D world. So yeah, hopefully that was not one that I usually do, but hopefully it's enlightened you a little bit and helped you along the way. And yeah, let me know down below, and I'll try and answer any questions that come through. If you are going to comment, if you've had a really bad, I think those of you, if you have had a bad experience, or you have been, it's because you were scared. It's because you didn't understand. The greatest fears come from the things that you don't understand, or you have no knowledge of, and you don't know about. Once you understand them and you know them, then the fear is gone and it's done with, and then you don't fear them after that. So knowledge is the key to all of this as we go through these experiences and this spiritual journey. So namaste. I will speak to you soon. Bye.